the circus. Circus was awesome, whatever. It was cool, right? Like things are like flying in the air, people, whatever. Anyhow, it's over. The ringmaster comes out to the middle of the stage or whatever, and he wants to thank everybody. And he turns around and he thanks like all the circus people, things. And he's like, hey, for what we do here, it's all about teamwork. It's all about everybody being fully invested and taking care of each other, whatever. And then he made this statement that was just astronomical. He said, because for a circus on the road, the cavalry isn't coming. And when he said that, my mind was like blown. And I instantly went back to my moments as a Black Hawk crew chief in Iraq. And so many nights where like I was the cavalry. Like the cavalry's a real thing. And I know it because it was me. And I remember one night, it was January 16th, 2008. And my part of it as a crew chief, we were putting in the special forces teams that were hitting the mayor's house. And so we went in, we put our boys in, we land into the dust in the middle of the night, out the right, out the left, go, go, go. They take off, and then we're back up into the sky. And as soon as we take off, we begin to hear about this group of insurgents that are coming up from the southwest corner of the town. Back out, and by this time, these insurgents have gotten themselves in a hole at the southern end of the town. They know we're coming, they're hiding. What we don't know is in the bottom of that hole is a weapons cache. Now we bring our boys in, we land about 150 yards away. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. It is pitch black. Like no stars, no lights, no cell phone towers, right? Like it is dark. And we land in there, the boys jump out left and right side of the helicopter. We take off, and they're trying to work their way through like the trees, all 7 of them that they have in all of Iraq. But they're like working their way through the trees to these guys. And we take our machine guns, we point them straight down. We have a laser, an IR laser that literally will go all the way to the horizon. And I point mine down to the ground, and I begin to lead these guys through the trees toward the insurgents. And they're following it like the finger of God to what's about to be their death. And as they get closer and closer, we're like, hey man, you're 20 yards out, you're 15 yards out, you're 10 yards out, you're 5, you're on the hole, and they don't see it. It's dark, there's a bush hanging over the hole. They don't see it, and the entire squad actually winds up getting split in half around this hole with a little kind of a tail hanging off. And this one soldier makes a mistake. Just a little mistake, and unfortunately would be the last one he'd ever made. He turns on a flashlight. And when he does, an AK-47 barks up out of the hole and hits him. And 2 guys on either side of the hole see the firing, fire at it, hit each other, and drop each other. And on the back left corner, a guy at 24 years old has a heart attack and dies on the spot. But that night, we got to be the cavalry. And we turned around and rolled in, and 240 machine guns just roaring into that hole. Lieutenant's crawling through the grass, pulling his guys back one at a time. And we would roll in, and they'd shoot up at us, and we'd shoot down at them. But when they were focused on us, they couldn't shoot the LT. And that was the goal. At the end of almost an hour, the battle finally comes to an end. We're out of ammo. We're out of gas. The sun's starting to come up. The cockpit is lit up like a Christmas tree with all the faults. Something's going on with the number 1 engine. Our radios are out. We flew over. We picked up a couple of the wounded that were still alive. And we flew them over to a hospital. And I remember my pilot telling me to get out. He says, jump out and check the bird and make sure it's okay. I got out of the aircraft that morning. I began to walk around it, and I'm looking up at the sides of it. And there are literally holes in this bird that weren't there just an hour and a half ago. In that moment, when I looked up at that tail rotor, I knew she was wounded. But she wasn't weak. And I'll say that again. For so many of our warriors that come home from places all across the world that have seen and experienced and been part of things that we were never meant to see, they've been wounded, but they're not weak. So I came home from Iraq, and I brought the things that happened to, I brought them home with me. I brought them in an imaginary bag on my shoulder, on my back, and I carried them around for a long time until I met something called the Wounded Warrior Project. And the Wounded Warrior Project does a lot of things. They got, outings and programs and all these different things, but what it's really about is connection. It's really about meeting other people that have been through something you've been through and saying, hey man, I got your back. It's kind of like being on a team. When I was in Iraq, I was the cavalry. When I came home, Wounded Warrior Project was my cavalry. And I want to tell you, if there's anybody here in this group right now that is carrying a load, that's walking around with a memory or walking around with something you've experienced that you were never meant to experience in the first place, let this be the first time, if no one's ever said this before, first of all, yo, I see you. And the second thing I want to tell you is, yo, you are not alone. Did y'all know that 1 in 4 high school students contemplate suicide every semester in the United States? So I want to tell you, yo, I'm here. Coaches, principals, faculty, brothers and sisters, like, we're here. For so many warriors all over this country, over 260,000 current alumni, Wounded Warrior Project is here. I find myself sitting on a couch in Auburn, Alabama, and I'm sitting there, I'm looking, and laying in front of me on a small table is a phone and a 9mm with a round in the chamber. And in that moment, I felt like I was up against the wall. I felt like I was running low on ammo, like the enemy was right around the corner, like there was nothing left, yo. Like the cavalry's not coming, this is it. This is the moment I make a mistake I can never come back from. And literally, as I reached for that gun, my phone went off. Picked it up, and it wasn't Wounded Warrior Project. It wasn't some great mentor. It wasn't a call from God himself. It was a buddy I had met at an event who just decided he wanted to check on me that day. That was the day my Calvary came. For some of you, you might think you're out here swinging a bat. You might think you're out here running on a field. But the fact is that today you're somebody's Calvary. And I want to bring it even closer to home because I never finish a speech without this challenge. In the next 24 hours, I want to challenge you to find 3 people and make it your cause. You be the Calvary for 3 people. Say, hey, like I said, I can't save everybody, but I can know everything about you. I can check on you. Every 48 hours, I want a phone call, or I want you to look them face to face and see how they're doing. Know when they start to go down a road that they don't want to be down. And finally, in the next 24 hours, I want you to go find 3 more people. This is a little bit harder, but I want you to invite 3 more people to check on you.